everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the F2 Grand Final in this, the 2017-18 season. This is Diamond Creek 1 versus the North Eltham Wanderers, playing for the F2 Premiership today. You are watching Channel 8, the local sports network, and we are here happy to broadcast this game. We are also joined by our partners, Bizz 99.9 FM Substitute Radio, and I am your host and lead commentator, Chukka Wilson. And I welcome you one and all to this broadcast, and hopefully we will be seeing the F2 Premiers given their awards today. You are watching Channel 8, the local sports network. We have been filming games of cricket for this entire season, and now this may very well be the final day of cricket for this season. So 6 months ago we began this project, and now it is coming towards an end. So Channel 8 would like to thank everyone who was able to come to the games, everyone who decided to watch our games on YouTube. Thank you very much for participating in this experiment, and it's quite a melancholic feeling to know that everything is coming to an end right now. Channel 8 most likely will not be in operations for the next 6 months, so this is the final broadcast we will make for quite a long time. Just as always, we are joined by our partners, Bizz 99.9 FM Substitute Radio. So there is a dual telecast, both in the audio-visual and in the audio formats. Now, I am your host and lead commentator, and I am the managing producer of sports production here at Channel 8. My name is Chukka Wilson, and I very much welcome you all to this broadcast. We are here at the Coventry Oval in Diamond Creek to watch day 2 of the Grand Final in the F2 division in the 2017-18 season. Today is the 18th of March 2018. So, assuming that we get a full allotment of scheduled overs, then we will be seeing a conclusion to this game today. Only severe loss of play, rain or heat would stop us from actually getting to see the finale of this game today. So with that, we are expecting to see someone win this premiership. But who is competing for this premiership? Well, it is Diamond Creek 1, who got into first place on the ladder in the home and away season with a 10-1 record, versus the North Eltham Wanderers, who were in third place at the end of the home and away season, and then they were able to defeat Lower Plenty in the semi-final, which was a bit of an upset because Lower Plenty were in second place, and so they would have been picked as favourites to win the game. So North Eltham Wanderers, through a fantastic performance in the semi-finals, have made it here, and so they very much deserve their spot. The two umpires who will be continuing to umpire this game are Kenneth Dawson and Ian Turl. And so let's just get a recap of the game as it currently stands. So Diamond Creek batted first and were able to bat out the entirety of their 68 allotted overs, and they ended up being 8 wickets down for 197. So going at a very healthy run rate, considering that this is Coventry Oval. It's not the fastest ground, it's not the easiest ground to score on. For various reasons, the grass is very thick, which means the ball doesn't carry across the infield. The boundaries are quite wide, the boundaries are quite long in terms of wide and square of the wicket, although they are quite short straight down the ground. And so it's sometimes quite common at Coventry Oval to see bowler-friendly wickets. You know, we get bowled out for a small total, 60, 70, 80, but Diamond Creek were able to put up a magnificent batting performance, full of determination and hard work and concentration and determination, and lots of patience, but then a lot of ruthlessness. So when the balls were in the right areas, they were absolutely determined to either leave them alone or defend them. And then as soon as the ball was off the mark, as soon as it was a bad ball, then they were attacked with absolute cruelty and ruthlessness and mercilessness. And through that combination, Diamond Creek have been able to put up what is a very large score, a very confronting score. The fact that North Eltham Wanderers have always put their, they've always said that their bowlers are some of the best in the entire competition, and they've always said that, well, commentators have actually said that North Eltham Wanderers' biggest strength is their bowling, and so this puts a bit of a mark on the situation, because if North Eltham Wanderers are at their best when they are bowling, and they saw forth a very large score by Diamond Creek, it does not bode well for what we are likely to see today when North Eltham Wanderers batsmen are tasked with chasing it down. Because the simple arithmetic would say that North Eltham Wanderers have a very difficult chase on their hands, and when you think about the weight of the situation, the fact that the North Eltham Wanderers batsmen have not been as impressive throughout this season as their bowlers have, it points to the suggestion that they will have to do something absolutely remarkable to chase this down. We are going to be watching this over the course of today, seeing what the North Eltham Wanderers batsmen can do to chase this total down. Because considering the fact that Diamond Creek have one of the most impressive bowling lineups with 4 very nice looking, very attacking, very aggressive, very talented fast bowlers, and then of course they've got some other secondary bowlers that could come in emergency circumstances. Diamond Creek have a very impressive bowling lineup. They're going to be playing on a ground that has a very bowling friendly conditions, so everything points to North Eltham Wanderers facing a very significant, very problematic uphill challenge. They're going to have to pull up something truly terrific in in order to deal with this. Now, I said last night in the day one Stumps wrap-up that I thought that there was a disconnection between the two elements of North Eltham Wanderers fielding, because on the one hand their bowlers put up an awesome performance. They were steaming in, they bowled long spells, they bowled very fast, they tried their best to move the ball around, they were aggressive, they were trying to manipulate the batsman, work the batsman over, try and get the batsman to misplay shots. So as far as the North Eltham Wanderers bowlers are concerned, they did a very impressive job. They worked very hard, and there's certainly nothing to disparage them for. Now, you could say that conceding 8 for 197, not even being able to bowl out Diamond Creek in the entire 68 allotted overs, points to a real problem for North Eltham Wanderers bowlers, as though they've done a bad job. But I'm saying that from everything that we saw yesterday, everything suggested the North Eltham Wanderers bowlers gave it everything they've got. There's certainly nothing to suggest that that they were not up for the challenge, that they were not revving to go, that they were not fit and healthy and determined and excited and energized. Everything from what we saw yesterday suggests that they were up for the challenge, but it just that superior batting won the day out. So despite everything that the North Eltham Wanderers bowlers threw at Diamond Creek, they were unable to come up with anything significant. Now, on the other hand, I felt that the captain of the North Eltham Wanderers, who set the field, was too conservative and too cautious and not innovative and not proactive enough. Too often he would set a single fielding arrangement and just allow that to stay in place for a couple of hours before making any changes, despite the fact that Diamond Creek were obviously playing the bowlers and the field in a particular way. He did not try to adjust the field accordingly in order to take advantage of North Eltham Wanderers bowlers' strengths or expose Diamond Creek batsmen' weaknesses. It just seemed to be a very set field arrangement, which everything else was worked around. And so that meant that too often opportunities were lost, and too often the batsmen were too often put in a rather comfortable position where they didn't have to do anything out of the ordinary or do too much more work. So let me just give you an example. Like in terms of the drives through the covers. So too often throughout the day, the North Eltham Wanderers field had a fielder at mid-off, and then a fielder at cover, and then a fielder at point. So the gaps were at backwards point, cover point, and extra cover. And over the course of the day, the batsman, when a half volley was bowled, the Diamond Creek batsman drove it, and it went into those gaps, and they were able to score runs. And at no point was the field adjusted to fill in those gaps, or to create new different gaps, or to just change the arrangement of the field in order to try to minimize the weaknesses that were being exposed through the Diamond Creek batsman's stroke play, or to try and manipulate the Diamond Creek batsmen to force them to hit in a certain area. All of the usual tactical elements that come with a fielding captain setting a field in order to maximize strengths and minimize weaknesses was not employed. And so it just stuck to the same field, point, cover, mid-off, throughout the entire day. And so the Diamond Creek batsmen were never placed under any severe worry or stress or confusion because of the way that the field was set and that they were not prepared for what that might entail. And so that meant that despite the fact that Diamond Creek you know, were in trouble for a couple of times yesterday. They, you know, they lost a few wickets. Their new partnership, the new batsman was having difficulty getting into the rhythm of their innings. At no point did it feel like this was overwhelming, that North Eltham Wanderers were just too awesome and too clever and too talented, that Diamond Creek were just being overwhelmed and there was nothing that could have been done to stop the situation. Diamond Creek were able to go through the entirety of the day's play, more or less in the game in one way or another, and that gives you a sign both in accordance with how North Eltham Wanderers were not able to out-muscle or outsmart Diamond Creek, and how Diamond Creek were never, you know, they never had North Eltham Wanderers' boot on their throat. It never reached that point because North Eltham Wanderers just didn't seem to like have the strategic or tactical capacity to launch that sort of absolute aggression that would have blown Diamond Creek batting apart and set up a low score for Diamond Creek. So that's why I feel as though definitely the great weakness that North Eltham demonstrated yesterday was their inability to smother and strangle Diamond Creek through very clever and aggressive and proactive and counterintuitive fielding arrangements, which would have combined with North Eltham Wanderers bowlers being very energetic and aggressive and hardworking and very attacking. And so the fact that this didn't come together, that there was not a really healthy and strong arrangement, set up a situation where Diamond Creek were able to bat the way they wanted. Once, as I talked about in the Stumps game show yesterday evening, I said that once Diamond Creek had gone through the opening, the new ball, once they'd seen through that and they'd only lost one wicket, and then they blew the game open by expanding their run rate from just 1 to 1.5 runs and over to 2 to 2.5 runs and over. Once that point was reached, it continued out on for the entirety of the day, and that's why Diamond Creek never looked like they were going to score a really low score, because they always had a healthy run rate, and they also weren't in fear of losing too many wickets getting bowled out. So the fact that Diamond Creek had reached that arrangement at about the 20 to 25 over mark, where they look like they are now in a position to score a good score because their run rate is healthy, because they haven't lost too many wickets, from that moment on the game pretty much proceeded in the same sort of line. There wasn't too many two-inning throws from that point onwards. Despite everything North Eltham Wanderers bowlers tried, Diamond Creek were able to continue on their work throughout the course of the innings, and so the last 40 overs were pretty much the same sort of thing, where Diamond Creek were scoring plenty of runs. There was loose balls, they were hitting those loose balls for runs, and North Eltham were just couldn't find a way to bring back themselves into this game, so that they actually were threatening to bowl out Diamond Creek through some sort of excellent play. And so that gives you a sense that, so basically the play yesterday had two phases. There was the new ball, where one of the Diamond Creek batsmen was dismissed. The run rate was only 1 run and over, and that happened for about the first 10 overs. And then after that, that's when the breakout happened. The run rate increased to 2 to 2.5 runs and over. That's when everything started to look more comfortable for Diamond Creek. They were looking more confident, they were looking more proactive, and North Eltham Wanderers could not change the narrative of the game from that point onwards. Once Diamond Creek had broken away and they were scoring at 2.5 runs and over, once it looked like Diamond Creek were getting comfortable out there at Coventry Oval, nothing that North Eltham Wanderers did could stop that from happening, and also Diamond Creek, despite making a few mistakes over the course of the day, despite having failings and making tactical errors, despite all that, they never got into a situation where they look like they're going to be humiliated or overcome or overwhelmed or outfought or outplayed. And so it continued to be the fact of the case that Diamond Creek were progressing towards some sort of 200 total right from about the 20 over mark, and it just continued on from there. And obviously that's not to say that the last 40 overs were not tactically significant or not interesting or not impressive, but in terms of the overall balance of the struggle, so big picture terms, in terms of the overall balance of the struggle, it did not change for the last 40 overs. Obviously throughout the game there were hundreds of micro battles, micro aggressions, micro tactical decisions, and they are very interesting, and you can go through them one by one and analyze them if that's your sort of thing. But in terms of the overall structure of the innings, the overall narrative of the innings, nothing changed, and that is a great detriment to North Eltham Wanderers and a great advantage to Diamond Creek. Okay, let's take a break now, and when we come back we've got more of the morning show. This is Channel 8, the local sports network. Cheers, look. We'll also know.